or the oil.
So let's say on my stove I've got a dial of 1 to 6.
6 being the highest.
Let's say 1 to 10 for
Okay.
easiness.
Okay.
Would I want to... I got a saucepan. I put in a half pound of butter.
Okay.
And I've got a quarter of herb.
Okay.
And I grind my herb and pour it in the butter once the butter's come to a low simmer. Maybe I want to put my dial on 2 out of 10.
Yes, exactly. A 2 or a 1 even.
Or a 1 even.
Yes.
At a really low simmer.
Yeah, to where there's just a very small amount of bubbles to the top, just to where like it's cooking just right. Because you know how marijuana has combustion temperature and
Right.
a vaporizing temperature.
Right.
I think it's like 300 some degrees, or actually 100 something degrees.
What do you, because I know, I got an email from a guy the other day where they were talking about THC extractions with, CO2 and all that, and they said that Full Spectrum Laboratories, that when they put active cannabinoids together, that when they rip off the acid molecule from the THC molecule or make the active cannabinoid, that they do that at a temperature around 245 degrees in an oven, and that's a dry heating. And that then, does that sound like 245 degrees? Does that sound too much?
That sounds a little high from my personal experience, and from what I've been reading, and from what everybody in the forums have been recommending. And they've been saying, if you're going to do that, the highest you should go is high 180s for Fahrenheit. I don't know exactly. They might be also doing something a little extra differently that will require a higher temperature.
Right, because they're not necessarily cooking. They're kind of putting things together, which is a whole different story.
And then that might not necessarily achieve the medicinal effect because, like they have Marinol, for instance, they synthetically produce THC, but it doesn't necessarily produce the same effects as natural marijuana just because you can't, replicate the subatomic, dicky-doos per se, of the plant.
Right.
And so, there's no real way of doing it unless you would actually use real plant matter and a real fatty, type of liquid or even solid,
Yeah. Well, we just had an edible divergence. I'm not really in edibles, so that's kind of why I wanted to talk to someone who might know something about them.
Totally.
I don't know.
And I had a question too. Have you ever had experience cooking with hash? Because that's what I've been seeing more and more often in dispensaries. Is that instead of 0.25 grams of cannabis, they'll have 0.1 gram of hash oil, and then you don't a lot of patients don't really know how to convert those two because
Right.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about hash oil, depending on how you make it, usually hash oil involves somewhat of an alcohol extraction technique, which involves either butane or isopropyl alcohol, and so that's really
gross.
Exactly. So.
Yeah, I haven't been man enough to try it out on my own. It's like Max, I can't ever find any that are strong enough.
But with the hash oil, you could do that. But I don't know if it would, if the oil, or the oil you're cooking with would actually fully synthesize.
That just doesn't make sense to me because, I'm sorry, hash oil is gold.
Right.
It's 3 times as expensive as gold. 1 gram of honey hash oil, $50-$60. That's common.
Absolutely.
I mean, what, you gonna bake a batch of brownies and use hash oil?
Yeah.
You're gonna drop $60 on a gram of something what?
Exactly.
No, dude, that's where your trim comes in because there's plenty of THC around the nug that if you're not gonna, you don't smoke the leaves, but you don't throw them away either.
Exactly.
You cook.
Use everything.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, I might not know a thing or two about edibles, but I do know a thing or two about growing.
Okay.
So let's talk about growing.
Okay. Sounds great.
You grow marijuana?
I do, sir.
You do. How do you do it?
I use organic methods. Right now I'm experimenting with mushroom compost.
Mushroom compost.
Yes.
Interesting.
And it's I found it at a gardening store in Boulder, and it was $2.50 a bag for a 20-pound bag. And,
really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And it's all natural, all organic mushroom compost. And
now is that the medium you're using?
Yes, and perlite as well with some vermiculite.
A little vermic, a little perlite, and some mushroom compost.
Yes.
That's what you're growing pot out of.
And then my previous crop I used Fox Farms Ocean Forest.
Okay.
soil.
Just the
and-
dirt, the soil?
Yeah, and then,
That's
you know,
really good
the
stuff.
one with the earthworm castings and everything.
Right, with the pretty, colorful, metallic colors on it.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
everyone knows that bag of dirt.
Definitely.
For sure. So, have you ever tried hydro?
No, but I've studied it, and I know the basic concept, and I know I understand the benefits, and I also understand, you know, the cons.
What are the cons?
Well, it's very finicky. It's expensive.
Yep.
And, you know, you have to buy parts per million meter. You have to buy a pH meter.
Yep.
And, you know, you have to be efficient. You have to know how your plants are, you know, what they react to. You have to know your strain. You can't
Right.
just throw in some bag seed and go for it, because it doesn't work like that. I mean, you could, but you wouldn't
You
be
don't want
maximizing
to.
results.
Right.
But there are a lot of pros as well. You know, more immediate nutrient delivery, faster growth because of it. You know, not water efficiency. You don't have to use as much water. You know, once you got it set up, it's, you know, it's a hefty investment, but once you get up, it's very efficient if you can dial it in. But that's the hardest part, I think, of hydro, is dialing it in.
And is that what's prevented you from attempting it?
Absolutely. I feel as though, you know, nature has it dialed in for me already. And if I can do what nature already did for me, then I'm just a step ahead.
See, I was the exact opposite from you.
Really.
I went into this saying, screw growing in dirt, man. I want big buds and I want them fast and sticky.
Definitely.
So I wanted to go hydro because,
Right.
I mean, everyone hears, well, the pros and the cons. The pro is you grow bud faster. You grow bigger bud. You grow stickier bud. The con is almost no one can do it. Because it's really, really difficult.
Right.
If you don't have a chunk of change to put into it and the time, the hours it takes to study how you need to do it properly,
Yep.
then it's going to be a very difficult investment. And you know, that's something I've seen working in the marijuana field, is that now that people have the ability to grow for themselves, they want to try it because it's legal. And
Right.
why not? And so they go buy these books and if they hear about the pros and they're like, oh, damn, I want to grow hydro. I want big, sticky nugs fast.
Right, right.
But they've never grown a plant in their life, or had an exotic reptile, or don't understand that you need to like read constantly, and then once you've read that, you need to read more, and then people don't understand that growing marijuana isn't like having a house plant. It's a whole different picture.
If you want results,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I currently grow in both. I grow dirt and hydro.
Okay.
I had a huge argument with my last roommate, who was a dready hippie who was all about the natural, ital, Ja Rastafari. So I was hydro, he was dirt, but he screwed his dirt plants up just because that kid's an idiot and doesn't want to put the time into the knowledge of how to grow in dirt properly.
Exactly.
So I thought growing in dirt was the worst way to grow ever, because I grew my hydro next to his dirt, and he grew crap, and I grew the best. I mean, not to gloat, but I did win Cannabis Cup on my first harvest.
Okay.
Then I tried it in dirt, and I was like, dude, holy shit, dirt's awesome. I mean, it's so much easier.
Yeah.
Like, my pH meter's down, my ppm meter's down, my whole daily checklist went to the closet.
Yep.
I mean, I just go down there and water
Check
them,
out
and
the
it's just,
ladies,
hey,
yeah.
there you go. How you ladies doing? Make sure temperature's good. All right, cool. Well, I want you to give hydro a try, because if you understand the basics of dirt and you get that concept,
Right.
dude, try it, because it's kind of wild to be able to watch your plant grow through that same process you always watch it go through,
Right.
but to watch it twice as fast.
What system do you use? What kind of system?
You know what? I've experimented with tons and tons of different systems. I like making my own hydro systems. Instead of going to a hydroponic store and dropping 2 G's on a system,
Right.
I like going to Home Depot, getting a Rubbermaid bucket, going to the fish store, getting a fish pond. I mean, you can make your own at-home hydroponic system.
Absolutely.
I jerry-rigged a hydroponic system that won Cannabis Cup.
Absolutely.
And
you
so-
can do it under $20 easily.
Dude, it's water and nutrients and how you move that water to the
Right.
roots. Okay, so you can ebb and flow it up there. You can constantly cycle it up there. You
deep
can,
water culture.
dude. I've done deep
Yeah.
water culture. I've done top down and
Top feed.
and I've done I
Aeroponics.
do aeroponics.
Very nice.
Oh wow, I'm sorry. I get so excited about talking about pop. It's
Me
just
too.
like,
Me too.
look at
Trust
the
me.
time, just flew by.
All
That's
right.
tough
Well,
fun.
thank you, Andrew, for coming on the show.
Thank you.
So we'll just close up the show for you here a little bit. Wild Bill was